Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Kaveri Seed Company's Q3 and 9M FY22 earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions at the end of today's presentation. Please note that this conference call will be recorded. Joining us today on this call is Mr. Mithun Chand, Executive Director. Before we begin, I would like to mention that some of the statements made in today's call may be forward-looking in nature and may involve risk and uncertainties. For a list of such considerations, please refer to the earnings presentation. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Mithun Chand. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Good evening and welcome everyone to our quarter 3 and 9 months financial year 22 earnings conference call. We hope you have had a chance to review the presentation of our results, which is also available on our website. I would touch upon the operational and financial performance of the company, then open the floor for question and answer session. We are moving from pandemic to endemic, and I hope there will not be any tailwinds from COVID in the next future. The Indian economy has emerged as fastest growing economy at an estimated 9.2% during the current year and expected to grow at 8 to 8.5% for the next year. Gross value added in agriculture is estimated to grow by 9%, which is good for us. Inflation is bothering policymakers across the world. However, this shows that growth will eventually. The digitalization theme will be the backbone for new investments in agriculture, which will streamline government payments and procurements, which in turn will increase the cash flows in the hands of the farmer for increasing adoption of new hybrid variants across the crop segments. Encouraging startups and mechanization in agriculture are going to increase the investment in agriculture. We should in turn increase the pace at which the new technologies and hybrid varieties are adapted for better yields in the country. Food and agriculture startups attracted a record 22.3 billion in venture funding last year, thus twice as much as these segments raised in 2019, which is making agriculture not only attractive but also data rich. This will revolutionize the sector as a whole, and we are going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries. Coming back to the financial highlights, the income from operations for the quarter stood at rupees 102.08 crores, which is 2% higher than on a year-on-year basis. The EBITDA stood at 16.32 crores, up by 8.22% on a year-on-year basis. PAT stood at rupees 9.08 crores, up by 21.88%. Cash on books stands at 314 crores. Segment-wise highlights, as we were discussing cotton and non-cotton crops, hybrid rice volumes increased by 22.38% in first 9 months of financial year 22. The introduction of new hybrids has helped to achieve this strong growth. The contribution of new hybrid rice products were up from 67.93% to 75.68%. The contribution of new products were up from 9.55% to 25.45% of volumes in maize. More than 60% of the revenues come from non-cotton crops like rice and maize and vegetables this year. In line with our focus on non-cotton segments, contributing in financial year 9 months of 22 has increased to 62% from 53% in 9 months of 21. We have witnessed significant growth in both revenue and volumes from hybrid and selection rice and vegetable segments. We have completed buyback of shares worth of rupees 119.95 crore during the quarter. Working actively to launch new products for mustard and wheat crops, which have huge potential. Hybrid rice is just 9% of at 4 million hectares out of 42.7 lakh hectares, million hectares. of rice market. Even 10% shift in hybrids is a huge opportunity for us. Contribution from our new products across these segments is stable during the year. They should move upwards in the years to come. And this is the biggest driver for the organization. Company always strive to deliver a consistent growth on both revenue and profitability, better margins, build sizable new products, invest in R&D to have new pipeline products, looking for breakthrough technologies in the market to utilize surplus cash in the books of the company. The company has delivered 16% CAGR in revenue and 23% CAGR in PAT in the last 10 years. Current low yielding situation calls for adoption of hybrid varieties, which is happening on the ground. We currently have 17 advanced production facilities, 1 lakh large pharma base, and 40,000 dealer network with broad portfolio of crops and 1 lakh acres under seed production, and 45 strong R&D team and with 900 of dedicated R&D firms. I would like to further state that the company has generated good cash flows in the last 15 years of the listing since 2007. The company has started declaring dividend from the year 2009. Since then, in the last 13 years, the company has rewarded shareholders with more than rupees 920 crores worth of cash, either in the form of dividends or buyback of shares. Moreover, the company has distributed close to 820 crores in the last 6 years alone in the form of either dividends or buyback. Company's motto is to deliver consistent growth on both revenue and profitability, better margins, build sizable new products, invest in R&D to have new pipeline of products. Any major shift in adoption of hybrids and selection rice, increasing demand for green fuel and increased protein demand in maize are going to drive the volumes for us. Now I would open the floor for a question and answer session.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with the question and answer session. Anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Tarang from Old Bridge Capital. Please go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So just a couple of questions.
Your voice is breaking. Can you be a bit loud?
Audible?
Hello?
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, slightly better, but okay, fine.
So just wanted to check, the cotton India output of
Hello?
Cotton. Hello, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Apologies. So just wanted to check the CAI estimates for cotton output for the current Kharif is at about 34.8 million bales, which is roughly at the same levels of the last year. So where do you see this moving now going forward, especially given how the first quarter we saw a lot of disruption in sowing from the unorganized players. So how should we look at it for the upcoming season?
If you see the current sentiment for the cotton crop is very positive. If you see the prices which the cotton is trading at, it's like all-time high. In the normal market, it's like more than 9,000 a quintal. If you see as such, the sentiment is good. And compared to previous year, we see a positivity in the cotton crops coming up this year. And regarding the other question, like whether it will move to the branded segment or the illegal or the unbranded segment, this time we are slightly confident that it will move to the branded segment, as last time the unbranded segment or the illegal seed has given a mixed result for them. So we see a good rise in the branded cotton this year. This is the first pulse of the farmers. So we are quite positive regarding cotton crop this year.
Okay. And sir, one of the factors which impacted our maize business was the tender piece from government. So any indications that you're getting on that activity might be better this year versus the last, and would that activity be in Rabi as well?
Basically, the tender business comes in the first half of our first quarter, second, slightly in the early of this second quarter. So we can take it as first half. So we already lost that business as the government couldn't call for tenders, and we don't expect any business coming this year. But going back, as we see the normalcy coming back, we don't see much of an issue in that. But anyhow, as a company, tender business, we don't bank much on that. But if you see the other segment, like the normal trade business in maize, we are doing well, and most of our hybrids have gained well in terms of the market shares. Even in this tough conditions in Rabi, we have seen an excess rain in most of the parts in the second quarter, in the third quarter, where they were slightly down in terms of the acreages, in terms of maize and in terms of vegetables. Even in these tough conditions, we are able to do better than the competition and than the industry. So we are quite optimistic about maize crop in the coming years. And maize as a crop, we see a lot of positivity, not only in the coming 1 or 2 years, but in the long run, as the prices have also firmed up, and the yields have also improved, and the usage of maize has also gone up. So maize as a crop has a great potential going forward. And we are in line. We are hybrids. Whatever we are doing in research in terms of launching of new hybrids in different segments, we are doing well, and definitely we can see a good growth coming forward.
Okay, so just 2 questions. So on the tender bit, do you anticipate the tender business to not resume in the next Kharif also, or you're getting early signs that maybe perhaps you will have that activity coming in Kharif of 23?
What I meant is that because of the COVID condition, they couldn't call for tender this year, that is 21-22. But going forward, definitely we think that it should come to normalcy, and they should again call for tenders, and we might participate in that. What I specifically said is that we don't bank much on tender business because it's a one-time business. We usually trade, which is a consistent business.
Understood, sir. Sir, and the final question, what would be the closing inventory, sir, for cotton this year?
It should be like... it's too early to predict, but it should be in between that 8 to 9 million.
Got it. Thank you.
It should be in line with last year.
Yeah.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Abhijit Akela from IIFL Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. Just wanted to understand the performance of a couple of segments this quarter. One is hybrid rice seems to be down for this quarter year on year. Is that because of the government's encouragement to farmers to move away from Rabi paddy cultivation in both Telangana and Andhra Pradesh? And how do you see that impacting our hybrid paddy business going forward?
Not exactly, but last year there was some sort of a spillover sales which was carried in third quarter. But to some extent what you said was right, because this year the selection rice moved a lot in terms of the hybrid paddy. But that's a very small portion. On the smaller base, it looks like we have lost sales in hybrid rice. But as an overall segment, this year we have done very well in terms of the hybrid rice when compared to the industry. If you see the industry figures are down by 5 to 7% as a whole. But we are growing by more than 20-25% in hybrid rice. So that's on a very small basis. That's not a significant one. Going forward, we see a very good adaptation of hybrid drive segments going forward.
Okay. So no change to our expectation of, say, 20-25% growth in hybrid drive going forward?
No, as of now, we still maintain the same guidance.
Okay, got it. And in vegetables also, there is some 3% decline in the third quarter, and also YTD it's grown only around 8%, which is a bit low given the small base. So what exactly happened there?
As I mentioned earlier in the opening remarks, and in the earlier question, excess rains in northern India and some parts of central India have impacted vegetable business in the third quarter, where we couldn't do a good sale in okra and the other crops. Okra being the major contributor in the third quarter, we couldn't gain the sales as anticipated, and there was so much of returns which were lying. So we have taken that into account. That's the reason we have not grown much in third quarter. But if you see the fourth quarter and if you compare on a year-on-year basis, vegetables will grow on a year-on-year basis and on a fourth quarter-to-quarter basis. Already we had a good start in the fourth quarter. We can see a good sales coming in the fourth quarter.
Okay, got it. Then just on the Madhya Pradesh government provision that we had taken in cotton in the first quarter, has that been reversed yet or not yet?
Not yet. We are pursuing it. We might get in the fourth quarter or in the first quarter of next year. We are pursuing it, but even though it's getting delayed, we are not bothered about the payment, as I think it will be sorted out and the company will receive the payment.
Okay, so whenever it's reversed, it will be 15 crores added to the profit for the quarter.
Yes.
Got it. And one last thing was on the Bayer Crop Science has recently reapplied to the Indian government for this, BT cotton GM technology reapproval. So, given that it's happening after so many years and there is finally some positive movement on that GMO front, would appreciate your perspective on where you see this whole GMO technology going forward.
That's a very positive news for the industry, and we are quite optimistic and confident that the government will also encourage and allow new technologies to come into the Indian agriculture. And Bayer is acting very proactively, and they're working aggressively with both in terms of the technical team and in terms of the government in explaining the advantages to the agriculture and as a whole to the country. That's a very good move, and once it is through, because after as rightly said, after a long time we are seeing some sort of a technology movement at the government level. It's a very positive move, and once it gets approved, we might see a lot of new technologies coming into both food crops as well, edible crops as well. So that's a very good move, and that's the reason we are pretty confident about the future of the Indian agriculture, and many more new technologies come into agriculture, which are already there in other countries, and they're just waiting for the approvals. And I think even from the government side, when we interact with the government side, even they are also active. They are also willing to introduce new technologies. Of course, they will check the implications of it, but they are positive in getting new technologies. Even at the government end, it's a good sign. So we can see some sort of a development in terms of introduction of new technologies in the coming years.
Okay, great. One last thing, and I'll come back. Regarding the government tender business, there is one school of thought that because Telangana and AP have started giving these subsidies in the form of Raitu Bandhu and Raitu Bharosa, that therefore those state governments will not come back with tender business anymore in the future. So what are your thoughts on that?
Basically, if you see the tender business, what you say, both Andhra and Telangana never give this type of tender business. For example, they just give a subsidy of 5 or 10 rupees a kg, whoever is buying maize seed. So that will not impact much. If you see the actual outflow of the governments, this is very few crores only. Whereas the tender business, what we are mentioning is about the central states where the government buys and gives it to the farmer on a free basis. Here the government, for example, the farmer pays 90% of the amount. So that will not impact much in these states. Tender business doesn't make much difference in these states, even in Karnataka. They just give subsidies. 5 or 10 rupees a kg. That's it.
Thank you so much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is on the line of Anurag Jain, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Kaveri has been on the lookout for acquisitions for some time. Now, in the last few months, Bayer India had sold its cotton, mustard, pearl millet, and grain sorghum seeds business, including the brands like ProAgro and Surpass, to Crystal Crop Protection. Now, let's say theoretically, if Kaveri would have participated in this transaction, then would Kaveri have been eligible? Would the Competition Commission allow Kaveri to acquire other smaller seed companies, given that Kaveri is a major player already? And in the seed business, there is no new companies are coming. It's not even possible for a new company to come in. So in that situation, if you could throw some light on, what kind of acquisition opportunities you've been looking at, and how do you see yourself vis-a-vis, getting approval from Competition Commission for any possible acquisition?
Yeah, we are open for acquisitions, and we are looking for companies also. But at the same time, we are very conscious in acquiring companies, as it should add value to the company, in the sense like we are strong in most of the crops where we operate, and we have one of the largest, strongest networks in terms of the distribution and in terms of research. So we are looking for companies which can actually have some research base and with new product base, where we are not present, or the new varieties where we are not present. So we are looking at, definitely we will look for acquisitions. We'll acquire a company which makes sense for in improving the revenues and in terms of the profitability and of course the shareholders. And in terms of the Competition Commission, definitely before acquiring any company, that's subject to the approvals by the competition. And as we have not acquired any company, we have not approached any Competition Commission of India for any approval. If that happens, definitely we'll take their approvals and then do it.
Okay. And another question I have is last year, basically the branded seed market had lost market share for the first time after many years to the illegal seeds. So now for the next season, is the industry cotton seed? There are 2 seed associations in India. So any of these are working, and they had planned to merge these associations. So is the association now planning to do some activity with farmers on educating them about the ill effects of illegal seeds, or how do you see this situation of illegal STBT seeds in cotton market pan out?
Both the associations, even though they were one day working independently, but both the associations were working with the farmers in educating about the quality seed and not going for the illegal seed. Not only the associations, even from the government front, they were working aggressively to educate farmers and to create awareness. And as individual companies were also working on that. So now what we see is that at least in the next coming year, with the awareness created by the companies, by the organizations, by the government, and there were very stringent laws which have enforced by the government. For example, even the Telangana government and Andhra government are booking a PD Act for the companies who are doing illegal seeds. So these type of actions are taken by the government. So definitely what we see is that the awareness has gone up, and we think the illegal movement of the illegal BT seeds should also come down next year. Anyhow, that we need to see, but as of now it looks like it should come down as a percentage compared to this year to next year.
Okay, sir. And I missed your answer to the previous participant's question. For the 15 crores was written off. So do you expect this to recover in what time period?
Might be in the next 3 to 6 months. We are expecting the money should come back to the company.
Okay, sir. Thank you. This is all from my side.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shrikant Verma from State Bank of India. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
Sir, I have a question, sir. What will be the effect of rising prices on the raw material cost, sir?
Sorry?
Everywhere due to inflation, the commodity prices are rising. What will be the effect on your EBITDA margins due to the raw material price increase?
Increase in the prices is a routine activity in the business, and most of the time we pass it on to the farmer, to the end farmer. So what we try to do is that we try to maintain our EBITDA margins. So as of now, we don't see any stress on the EBITDA margins as of now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Samay Sabnet from Cressida. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening. This is Ashish Agarwal here. Sir, I understand that your rice business is doing very well, and non-cotton is especially doing very well, and congratulations on that. Sir, my question is with respect to the cotton part of the business, and apologies if you've answered that before, but cotton still remains a large part of your business, and there we are not, we are seeing the business kind of slow. So do we expect this to remain like this? How is cotton growing overall? How is our market share moving, and what is our thought and strategy on that? If you could throw some light on that part of the business.
Even though cotton as a contribution to the overall revenues has come down, but cotton is a very important crop for us. We still focus on cotton. We are developing many hybrids in cotton for the new segments, and launching of new hybrids in different segments is a continuous activity. And cotton, even though, as rightly said, even though cotton is contributing lower, but as a crop, even it has a good 35 to 40% of revenue contributed from cotton. As a crop, we don't want to lose any focus on that. But as the non-cotton segments are growing much faster than the cotton crops, so we are talking more about non-cotton segment. But as a cotton, internally, we see a positivity coming back this year, and last 2-3 years were tough years in terms of the cotton business. And with the introduction of the new technologies, rightly mentioned earlier in the earlier questions, like introduction of new technologies like BG2 RRF by Bayer, and most of the new technologies are also lined up for cotton business, and the cotton definitely will have a very big share in both in terms of the company and in terms of the Indian agriculture. So cotton as a crop, we can't neglect, and we still continue to be focusing on cotton crop.
To understand, sir, in the last 2-3 years, like you mentioned, that cotton has been weak, and it's obviously reflected in our numbers also. So if you could throw some light whether this has been for across the industry, or have we lost market share? If you could share some sense about that. And is it only a question of our product pipeline that will change it, or is there something more to it?
If you see the cotton as a crop, as an Indian crop, cotton is also down by more than 20-25% from the peak levels, close to 30% from the peak levels of 2014-15. And the other part, even the illegal BT has also taken up some share. These two has impacted the branded seed segment. In terms of the market shares, we have slightly lost market shares in a couple of states, especially like Andhra and Telangana, where we were very strong. But if you see the other states like Maharashtra, Gujarat, MP, we again market shares, including Karnataka. So if you see as a overall market share, we are slightly down in terms of the branded seed, a percentage or percentage and a half down in terms of the market share when compared to the peak. But if you see overall, the cotton market has come down.
Well,
that has impacted this.
Just to belabor on the point, sir, over here, you mentioned that we have lost some share in 2 states, which are the large ones. So is it a question of dealer margins? Is it a question of our product? Or how do you see that, and how do we go about addressing that?
Basically, it's a combination of both. One is the product, and the second one is the dealer, because our products are pretty old, and new products couldn't make much dent in these markets as like the earlier product did. And in terms of the margins, dealers, we are in line with the competition. We realize slightly more than the other players do, and we don't. That's because we don't give much of a credit to the dealers. So that's slightly impacted us. But see, overall, we have developed we are introducing new products in this segment, and we are pretty confident that we think that we'll get back our market shares. And that's not a major worry for us. And as I said earlier, we slightly lost as a whole by half percentage and a half, not more than that.
So what kind of volume growth can you anticipate for the cotton segment of the business for, say, the next 12 months?
We maintain only 10% growth this year, even though we see a lot of positivity in cotton crop coming up this year. Okay. We want to be a little bit conservative in giving the guidance for the cotton, as we need to again check the illegal BT and the non-branded seed segment. But as of now, the first looks like it will move to branded seeds. But at least
just for an industry-specific thing, that what is the usual time when we can actually start? When does the cotton seed sales start hitting our P&L? So what is the cycle like? I'm kind of missing on that. If you could throw some light on that again.
Basically, that comes from the second half of May to July 15th. That's all because each state has got different sales window, and again that depends on the rainfall also. So in that 1.5 months time, you get a clear picture.
Got it. So basically, the month of July is critical from a sales point of view, and the dealer push. The dispatches to dealer would be happening sometime in May, June. Is that the right way to look at it?
Yeah. It starts from May, starting April into May start based on the state, and it moves up to June into July first week. If it is a nearby state from our godowns, it moves last. If it is far away, it moves a bit early.
Got it. And if you could also throw some light on the margin profile on, say, cotton and on rice and on maize.
So if you see the margins as of now, non-cotton crops we are getting better margins in non-cotton crops. Cotton is slightly under stress. But if you see as an industry, we still realize more than the industry. And I think it's already reflecting in the results for a couple of years. So if you see the further 12 to 14 months, the margin should be in line with the previous years.
Sorry. So basically, you're saying that in the next 12 to 14 months, the cotton margins would go back to the previous levels. Is that what you're mentioning, sir?
It was there at the previous margins itself. Apart from this year, because apart from this year, the margins which we were used to maintain in the earlier years, that will come back. This year, as the revenues were down and the other sales returns were high and some impact in terms of the government receivables, that has impacted the margins. Otherwise, in terms of the operation, the margins remain same, and that will remain same.
Got it. Sure, sir. Thank you so much, and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anurag Jain, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Coming back on the cotton business for Kaveri, basically Cotton Association of India has projected that based on the current high prices for the next cotton planting season, they are saying that in the 10 main cotton growing states, the cotton acreages are likely to go up between 20% to 25%. So in light of this projection, you have taken a very conservative view that you expect cotton volumes to grow 10% for Kaveri. So now, but just to understand, you are taking this conservative view of volume growth of 10% only although the last year decline was 26% for volumes. So, and despite 10% growth, you think you can come back for the margins, you can come back to the previous year margin with just 10% volume growth?
Yeah, as I said in the earlier question, I'm taking a very conservative approach in terms of the cotton. The sentiment as of looks very good. But we are very bullish on the non-cotton segment where we grow in between the 20 to 25% in non-cotton segment. Overall, the company's growth should come back to that 15 to 20% and we'll get back those two previous margins. So in that way, we are not much worried about it. But in the start of this statement, I said that we are taking a very conservative approach in terms of the cotton. One, because we also need to watch the illegal BT movement.
Right. So basically, sir, just to for me to understand correctly, even with only a 10% cotton volume growth, you expect to come back to the previous year margins.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Yogesh Mittal, an investor. Please go ahead. Yogesh, your line is in the talk mode. Please go ahead. As there's no response from the current participant, we'll move on to the next. That is from the line of Sumant Kumar from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Mithun, my question is for the cotton seed volume. You have guided 8.5 to 9 million packets, right? And this is a historically high. I think in the past we have done 8.5 to 9. So assuming overall this kind of volume, what are the assumptions apart from the volume acreage increase in the cotton because the prices are high, right? And but overall there is also a threat of illegal seeds. So assuming that, can you say and can you talk about what kind of risk we have in the 8.5 to 9 million packet assumption?
So in terms of the inventory, there was a couple of questions mixed in it. One is regarding the sales, and then one is regarding the inventory part of it. Regarding the inventory part of it, we are pretty conscious about the longevity of the seeds and in terms of the inventory management. The production, whatever we have, is like the immediately previous year production or for this year production that will last for, that we can use for next 2 to 3 years. We don't see any sort of a threat in terms of the write-off, threat of not using the seeds. And we have, for the next year program based on this thing, we will reduce the production or increase the production based on the sentiment in the first half or the initial beginning of the season. So we don't see much of a threat in terms of the inventory management, and we don't see any write-off coming from the inventory, at least from the cotton part. Regarding the sale, we with the present inventory, if we can easily supply to the market, and if there's some sort of much of a positivity than what we expected, even then we can manage with the present inventory what we have.
Okay. So overall, illegal seeds has an impact on cotton in this year, right? So what industries are doing, what government is doing in that?
Earlier questions also, that both the companies, most of the government organizations and in the private organizations and the government bodies are creating awareness among the farmers not to go for the illegal seed, and they are educating the disadvantage of going for that. And there have many governments have imposed strict action if someone deals with the illegal seed. So these are the measures where the government is taking on, and with that sort of initiatives, that's where we said that this time we might see a decline in the usage of the illegal or the seeds compared to the previous year. That is the current year.
And assuming overall Indian cotton requirement and globally China cotton has been banned by US, and the requirement of Indian cotton has increased and yarn has increased. So what's your view on the technology side? Should we adopt a new technology? Should we do we have a new technology to increase the yield despite or you say acreage increase of the cotton? Because that is not a solution. That can create an imbalance of the other crop also. When the area of particular crop is going to reduce, then price of that is going to increase. So what government are doing and what we are doing for that technology side in the cotton?
So both the government and for the companies, and most importantly for the farmers, increase in the acreage much required factor. And if you see our yields when compared to the other developed countries or other countries where they are prominent in agriculture, we are much lower in that. So we always require technologies, and even I think the government is also pro in getting the technologies. As I said earlier, they are seeing what are the adversities in the introduction of the new technologies in terms of the biological or the other pests and diseases, so that they are working on. And whenever they introduce new technologies, they check all those things and use it. And as a company and personally, we encourage new technologies to come into the agriculture field, and we are for it.
But still, we are waiting for the new technology in the cotton seeds. We have a still old BG2, so we are waiting for the new technology in the cotton seeds to increase the yield.
Yeah, companies like Bayer has applied for new technology.
Okay.
If that is approved, there are some other companies also might follow it, and we as a company will take those technologies and then make our seeds to adapt those technologies.
So how much time it will take?
Each technology takes different time, but it's too early to comment on that. Once we get the approval, then we can say to you how much time will it take.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohan Modi from RSM Advisors. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Hi. Sir, my question is, in Q1 of 2021, we are impacted in the gross margin due to the early placement of our packages in the market due to the COVID scenario. So
you're talking about Q1 of 21 or 22?
In this Q1.
Okay.
Is it right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you continue with your question.
Yeah. Okay. So we are more impact in cotton packages or on another crop in write-off.
Hello,
sir. Sir, my question is, we are impacted in gross margin in this Q1 due to the cotton or other crop?
Both the crops. If you see the margins impact, one is we are down in terms of the revenues when compared to last year. The other expenses, especially the employee cost and the other expenses, have gone up. And as we have not received the government money, that is also impacting the margins, and to some extent the write-offs in the crops, because we have placed that in the market in all the crops, including maize and cotton. Cotton, very few portion in cotton, but basically in rice and maize, we have lost because of write-off. That has impacted the profitability.
Okay. So my second question is, one of our competitors in a cotton seed industry is gaining continuous market share in last 5 years, and right now its market share is 2x of our market share. So
market share is?
The company which one of your big competitor in cotton market has gained market share in last five years compared to another player, and we are retaining our market share, but he is continuously gaining market share. I am talking about the Rasid tree. So what is your view on that? What is their market strategy, or its product better than us, or something like?
So they are the biggest players as of now in the market shares, and we don't like to comment on other competitors' strategy in terms of the business. But yes, they are number one players in cotton. They gained market share in the last 5-6 years. They have gained from other players, so that they are doing it. And in fact, they are in line with the market.
Okay. So, sir, but I'm just viewing from our point of view that it's a difference in product or it's a difference in market strategy. What is your view?
It might be both, but basically in terms of the product adoption. As we said that we have lost market share in a couple of states and we are gaining market share in a couple of states. That clearly gives an indication that our product is faring well in those states and not doing well in the other states. We lost market share. So their product was doing well. They have gained market shares in northern India. That's what they gained market share.
And sir, my last question is, we done open market buyback, and thank you for considering our feedback from investor. So I would like to ask that in future we are more about open market or tender buyback. What was your experience from open market buyback?
Again, that will give to the board decision. As of now, when the new buyback comes in, definitely we'll intimate it. We'll have a discussion with the board meeting, and definitely we'll have a final outcome and then let you know.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
But as a company's point of view, we always see in rewarding the shareholders, and we think of a larger benefit to the shareholders. That's our prime motor, and we'll work on that.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. That's all.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nishit Shah from Equitas. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir, and thank you for this opportunity. Sir, I would like to understand export opportunities for us. What are the steps we're taking for increasing our export market share?
Exports is a very big market. Indian exports have a good contribution in the total overall export to export of seeds to Asian countries and especially the African countries. We are working on that. Yes, we couldn't work as per our anticipation in a couple of years due to some COVID conditions, and we couldn't test it in the normal markets. But we have given samples in many states, and most of the samples and the results are very encouraging. Exports will be definitely a focus area for us, and we are pretty confident going forward. Exports will also contribute to the revenues.
Sir, currently, what would be exports revenue in last 9 months?
So if you see in the last 3 years, we have not grown much in exports. It was flattish. We are doing around 20 odd crores plus or minus of the 20 odd crores in the last 3-4 years. We couldn't increase our sales in the exports. There were some of the other issue in terms of the operations or in terms of the testing updation of this testing results that took some time. So we couldn't do that. But even in this tough 2-3 years of pandemic years, we were working with the local countries, these local state governments of the countries where we are trying to operate. We are doing the trialing purpose of trialing. We are completing the trialing procedure, and we have given many samples there. So definitely we are progressing in that direction, but not as per our anticipation.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is on the line of Yogesh Mittal, an investor. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Am I audible? Hello.
Yeah.
Good evening. So thanks for giving me the opportunity. Sir, first of all, I would like to congratulate the team, the whole team of the Kaveri, especially the scientists and the developers who, based on whose research and development the seeds perform well and are received well by the farmers. And one thing I want to ask is about the development, that what are the talent retention policies we take to to basically inculcate and develop and retain the talent in this, as it seems to be very critical in this field. Number two question is, please basically apologize. I would like to apologize to ask this question again about the HT variety, herbicide the tolerant variety, as it seems that it is now affecting, like for the last few years in the cotton. Is this herbicide tolerance kind of technology being used only in the cotton, or in other kind of seeds as well, in India or outside India in any of the developed world? So these are the two questions I want to ask. Thank you.
Yeah, but I'll just take the second question first. In terms of the hybrid HT, there are many crops, even in other crops also this technology is used, HT technology is used. But as of in India, the HT, the approvals, companies have only applied in cotton seed for HT, as Indian government only allows GM crops in non-edible crops, and that is only in cotton as of now. So as of now, in India, HT is only applied for cotton, but in other countries, there's other food crops also have HT. Going down the line, if the government takes a policy to give allow GM in food crops, then that technologies might also come into India. Regarding the first question in terms of retaining the employees, that's a very critical part in the industry, as it takes a very long time for the breeders or for the company to launch hybrids, and it's a continuous activity. Even though the company is only germplasm, which plays a critical part in developing hybrids. At the same time, breeders and the good team, not just breeders, but in terms of the scientists, biotechnology scientists, and the product development team, everyone plays a very critical role. So employee retention is one of the main prime focus area, and we are very keen to retain employees. And in terms of the company, we follow all the standards in terms of giving the employee benefits and or in terms of the compensation. And moreover that we even give shares, allot stock options to employees that we have already seen in the couple of years. In the last 2-3 years, we have created a trust and bought some shares and giving it to the employees for the long-term retention. That's a continuous activity what we are doing in the company for last 10-12 years.
All right. So thank you for answering this. There is one small thing, if I may ask as a follow-up. Then you said that some of the other countries have allowed the HT technology being used in cotton or other seeds as well. Is it being received? Is this technology being received well in the developed world in some of the countries? Or just wanted to understand whether the reason that Indian government has not allowed this basically because of the impact on the biodiversity and the other harmful impact on the other flora and fauna around it?
Wherever the technology is used, across the world, wherever the technology is used, the results are encouraging. And there is a mixed view about using the technology or not. But companies which are countries in which they are using it regularly, and they are gaining market shares continuously. In coming back to India, the government has not made any policy in terms of the edible crop, that is a food crop, in getting GM technology. If the government is clear about the policy, then we can see about the new technologies coming into the Indian country.
All right. All right, sir. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the last question. For any further details or meetings, planned visit, please be in touch with Rama Naidu from Intellect IR. You can contact him on 992020 9623. On behalf of the management of Kaveri Seeds Limited, we conclude today's conference. We thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.
Thanks.
The person you are speaking with